So you're trying to level up your life. You're trying to achieve your goals, essentially become the person that you want to be. And you feel like every single time you try, something happens or it doesn't work or it just doesn't work out. I personally feel like I kind of found, I don't know if I want to call it the cheat code or what, but like a way to actually achieve your goals and a way to keep it going and it actually works. So I'm going to explain it to you now. And of course, here are the chapters. So you need to change your identity. I know some people may say, yes, oh my gosh, I need to. Some people may be like, what? You need to change your identity. And contrary to what you think about yourself, you may say about yourself, your identity is shown in your habits. So your habits are just a makeup of the identity that you truly are. So you can't tell yourself, or you may tell yourself, I'm healthy, but then look at the habits that you do. I'm a leader, but then look at the habits that you do. You get what I'm saying? So on and so forth. It's truly shown in your habits. And I feel like that's something that's very important. And I will talk about that a little bit later. But just be aware of that. You need to change your identity. Focus on, first, we're going to start with where you are now. Focus on the story that you are continuously telling yourself. What is that story that you have on repeat about yourself? Whether it's I'm not pretty enough, whether it's I'm not smart enough, whether it's I'm stupid, whether it's I'm ugly, whether it's I'm whatever it may be, pay attention to that story. For me, my particular story, well, I have a lot of things, but one of the things I will always say to myself is like, I have to do everything. Like if I don't do everything, things are not going to end up the way I need them to. And if I don't do this and I don't do that, and it will cause me to overly extend myself because I'm trying to do everything. I'm trying to help everyone. I'm trying to be everything. And in turn, oftentimes it will make me call myself stupid when I will forget something, or it will make me call myself dumb, or just say things to myself when it's like, maybe you're not stupid, maybe you're not dumb, but I felt that way because I felt like I should know everything. I should have everything under control, and when I forget something or I make a mistake or I don't know something, I automatically called myself stupid. First, I want you to appreciate that feeling. And I know some of y'all are like, wait, what? Appreciate that feeling, because that feeling, whether good or bad, happy or sad, has you where you are now. And I say that to say our minds are wired for comfortability. Your mind is wired to be comfortable, to always find comfortability, to always feel safe. I say that to say that feeling, that story, whatever it may be, has kept you safe, whether you realize it or not. So that feeling of calling yourself stupid, or that feeling of feeling ugly, right? Maybe growing up, people around you told you that you weren't pretty. Maybe growing up around you, people made you feel ugly. And so that thing kept you safe. You know why? Because when you wanted to wear that dress to that event, that thing said, hey, no, we're not pretty, or we're ugly, so we're not going to wear that dress. But you know why? Because your mind was thinking, I don't want people to call us ugly or wonder what we're doing. Hey, no, you probably shouldn't wear that bathing suit. You're ugly. You're fat. You shouldn't wear that bathing suit. You know why your mind did that? Because your mind was scared people would talk about you in that bathing suit. No, you're too dumb to apply to that job. You're stupid. You know why your mind was telling you that? Because your mind was scared that you wouldn't get it. I say that to say, appreciate that feeling, because a lot of times we neglect that feeling. We look down on it. We just want to get away from it. We want to push it away, and we show it no attention. And you need to appreciate it. Not in the sense of just, oh, I love it so much, but appreciate it, because if you don't appreciate it, eventually, and not even eventually, as you've seen, it's going to be your downfall, to a reason why you don't achieve a lot of things. And I say that to say, think of it as that bad child in school, right? I don't know about y'all, but I feel like everybody's had bad children in school, or just children that weren't good. And now that I've gotten older, I've realized a lot of those quote unquote bad children had things going on at home, whether it was neglect, whether it was abuse, whether it was whatever the case may be, they had something going on at home. So when they came to school, that was their outlet. When they came to school, that's when they could express themselves or be themselves, or even they just were treating kids at school or doing things that they were already experiencing at home, and they thought that that was okay because they were going through that. I say that to say, what happened to those children? They just got a reinforcement in school that they were dumb, which they were told at home all day, that nobody liked them, which they felt at home all day, with things such as detention. They were placed in isolated places. They couldn't talk. They couldn't speak. You're bad. What were they also placed in? Like developmental learning classes, right? They were teachers and people were like, you know what? Yeah, they can't be in a regular class. They need to be in a class with individuals who have impaired learning or, can't really learn on the same level as everyone else. When the whole time it wasn't about their learning. It was the fact that that child hadn't eaten in 2 days and now they're reacting out. Or that child is being beaten or something like that and they're reacting out. But in school, it's reinforced, right? Or that child is, placed on discipline, or that child can't go to the, the same, maybe there's a field trip and now the child can't go to the field trip. I say that to say all that feeling that they were feeling at home was reinforced in school. Now imagine if every single child that felt that way, there was a teacher, there was a counselor, there was an individual, an adult to tell that child, or just sit down with that child and be like, hey, what's going on? Why are you acting like this? Do you know how many different adults we would have now? Do you know how many children, that's all they needed and they just didn't know that? Because we're young, we didn't know how to express ourselves and we didn't even know half the stuff that we were feeling. There's so many kids, if they would have just gotten that, their life would have been different. I say that to say that feeling that you have of yourself is that child. And by you not appreciating that feeling, i.e. not appreciating that child, we see what happens to a lot of those children, and you've seen what happened to you. You follow suit with that feeling, those habits, those things. So I say that to say, appreciate that feeling. Appreciate that it's kept you where you are now, but it's also helped save you. It's also helped make you feel comforted. And it still is a piece of you, and it still is you. Now, I want you to speak to it kindly. When you are having that feeling, when you say things to yourself, speak to it kindly and figure out why you feel that way. I say that to say with myself, it will be a thing of, like I told y'all, one of my issues is that I'm very overly independent. I have to have everything together. I have to have everything. And for a lot of us, it comes from our childhood, right? Growing up, I had to be independent because there were times where I felt like I felt my independence was taken away from me, or there were times where I just felt like if I was in control of this situation, it wouldn't have happened like this. This wouldn't have happened to me. So when I became an adult, I became very controlling over everything because I felt like Shamaya has to do it. Shamaya has to have it because if it's the best way, Shamaya's going to figure out that best way. I say that to say, so when I do things such as make mistakes, when I do things such as, do something incorrectly, I will often tell myself, you're so stupid. You're so dumb. Why? Because I assume Shamaya has to know everything. Because if Shamaya don't know it, who's going to help her? And so I say that to say, I have a lot, and I'm dealing with it. I'm not going to say I'm completely through with it, but I'm way better than I used to be of my negative talk. And now I speak kindly to it. Like, hey, why are you feeling this way? Hey, don't. And I say that to say, with talking to those things kindly, now I've come to the point of understanding that's why I feel that way. When it first used to happen, I didn't even know why. And I know it sounds weird, talk to it, but like you will respond back to yourself. Maybe not the first time, maybe not the second time. And it came from an understanding of me being like, you know what? You just forgot something. Like you're not dumb. Like, no, you just made a mistake. In a sense of, and I've talked about it on previous videos, doing a technique called spot, stop, swatch. Spot when you say it, stop it in its tracks as fast as you can, and swatch it with something else. In a sense of being kinder to it. Why do you feel that way? Why are you saying that thing? Why? And I say speak kindly to it because we speak to ourselves in a way that we would never speak to anyone else. We treat ourselves in a way that we would never treat anyone else. And we want to feel kindly about those things because that's how people would speak to us. I say that to say recently, I was leaving out the house really fast and I accidentally grabbed my best friend's keys. I grabbed her keys and I tried to get into my car with them. And I'm like, why is it not working? Why is it not? And I noticed, wait, these are her keys. So then I came back upstairs and she heard me come back in and she was like, you good? Like you said you're leaving. And I was like, oh, I grabbed your keys on accident or something like that. I was like, I grabbed the wrong keys. I grabbed yours. And her response was, oh, you mistakenly grabbed my keys, or oh, you made a mistake and grabbed my keys. Something like to that effect. And I was like, yeah. I say that to say, I said the same thing to myself. Because when I first did it and I noticed it was the wrong key, part of me wanted to say, you're so stupid. And literally what I said to myself, you just made a mistake. And I went upstairs and I was relaxed. But previously, I would have been like, you're so stupid. I would have went upstairs. I'm so stupid. And you keep that feeling. You don't even notice it. And it comes out in multiple ways. And I say that to say, speak to it kindly. right? And the more you speak to it, the more some things you don't know where they came from. And you can start figuring out, why do you feel this way? And then also pay attention to things that are triggering you, right? And be so self-aware. Even one thing I definitely recommend people to do, tally it. Have a notes app in your phone of things that you repeat to yourself and literally tally. The first couple days, tally how long you say it. Like, don't get into the thing of, oh, I gotta stop it in this track. Just tally how many times you say that thing. If you tell yourself 20 days, I'm so stupid, 20 times a day, I'm so stupid, the next day try to get down to 19, 18 times. Right? And I say that to say it's a gradual thing. Do not feel like you have to completely change yourself overnight, but just become aware, because sometimes you're not even aware of that negative talk and that self-talk. And then even when you do tally that many times, you're like, dang, another one, dang, another one, dang, another one. You didn't even realize you tell yourself 50 times a day you're dumb, you're ugly, you're stupid. Why? Because you're just not self-aware. So tally those things. And then also figure out what triggers you. I figured out what triggered me was when I made mistakes. I figured out what triggered me was when I didn't know something and I would call myself dumb. But it's like, you're not dumb just because you don't know, but that's how I felt. So I say that to say, figure out what's triggering you, right? Situations that may trigger you. Sometimes it's environment, sometimes it's people. But then also have the understanding that it's nobody's responsibility to not trigger you. It's your responsibility to work on your triggers. And I feel like a lot of times too, people have this mindset of, oh, well, forgive and forget. Like, just forget about things and they're over things until they're triggered again. And I say that to say you don't want to give people the power to trigger you. You don't want to give people the power to be able to take away a lot of the things that you work for the simple fact that they triggered you. It's nobody's responsibility to walk on eggshells around you. It's nobody's responsibility to not know what makes you sad or not say certain things around you. It's your responsibility to figure out, become aware of those things, what triggers you, and work through it. But I feel like that's something that I had to be aware of too. Like, it's nobody's responsibility not to trigger me. For example, growing up, like I said, I'm very independent and I've been this way my entire life. And one thing that used to trigger me when I first got to college, right? I'm in college, we're all 17, 18, freshmen, all this other stuff. And one thing that used to trigger me, because I'm so independent and I feel like everybody else should be too. So when I was going into college, it really used to annoy me. Mind you, I lived in a dorm with 800 other girls. It would annoy me when people used to always call in their parents for stuff, or like sometimes even be homesick and stuff. Because me personally, I went long stints even as a young child of like not really seeing my parents. And then also I've always been independent. So like even when I was in high school, I didn't really ask my mom for much besides to sign something or anything like that once I started working. So I say that to say, when people used to do that, I used to be like, oh my gosh, they're such children, they're such babies. And I used to even judge them, right? I used to think in my head, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, and it's not something that I'm like, oh, proud of. I did it. I used to be like, these the same girls that would have boys in their dorm. These the same girls that do this and do that and all this other stuff, be drinking all this other stuff, but now they want to call on mommy and daddy. Like, I used to think that in my head. My thing is, that's not nobody's responsibility not to trigger me. I needed to work on my feeling of always feeling in control. I needed to work on me. It wasn't people around me responsibility not to trigger me. But I also say that to say, now in that particular situation, I couldn't do too much. But also, if a group of individuals are constantly triggering you, change that environment, because there probably are people who are constantly going to trigger you, and even if you work on it, they're constantly going to make you feel bad about yourself, or bad, and not even bad about yourself because you might work through it, but they're just going to probably bring you back to the past. Sometimes you also need to change that environment. And now we're going to get into part 2, the part of changing yourself. But the big reason why I wanted you guys to hear part 1 is because it's very imperative to know where you are now, so you can also know where you are going. I think sometimes people focus solely on where they're going, who I want to be, the goals I want to achieve, what I want to do. And a lot of people neglect the now. They neglect where they are now, the things they've been going through now. And I'm an analogy person. If you guys are watching my channel, you guys know. So this is an analogy. Think of 2 of your best friends fighting, right? 2 of your best friends, they're arguing, they're going at it, and you're trying to diffuse the situation because those are your best friends. You don't want them fighting. You don't want them what? And just imagine you going over there and only one of them is kind of able to tell her story. And the other one, you like, well, I don't want to pick a side because they're both my best friends, but what's going on? And you're confused. You're probably not going to be able to diffuse the situation. And I say that to say that's like your past and your future. A lot of times it's hard for you to get to where you want to get to and do what you want to do because you're only focusing on one side of the story. You're only focusing on your future. But your past is like, I'm here. You're like, well, but, and you're so going back and forth. It's imperative for you to be able to work on where you are now. It's imperative for you to know what triggers you, the things that you constantly repeat to yourself, the things that you need to work on, because those are the things that can break you in the future. Even when you do get to where you want to be and become who you want to become and all this other stuff, who you are now is the building blocks, is the foundation. So if you only focus on your future, somebody can trigger you at the top. Somebody can say something to you, or a situation can happen and put you in shambles and bring you even lower than where you were before. Simply because you did not work on that thing. Simply because you put all that in a closet. All your skeletons in a closet, and you didn't work on it. And you didn't work on those things that you're constantly repeating to yourself. And you did not make yourself aware of them. You didn't know how much they affected you. And you didn't talk nicely to those things and appreciate those things. You treated those things like the bad child. And then when that child start acting out, it's like, oh my God. When that child finally becomes an adult, it's like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? How did my life get here? Because you neglected it. So stop neglecting yourself. Now, when it comes to changing your narrative, the narrative of your life, think about the kind of identity you want to have and the person you want to be. Your identity is healthy. Your identity is wealthy. Your identity is a leader. Your identity is caring, loving, all those things. It's very imperative once you understand where you are. And before you understand or you get to where you want to go, you have to have a sense of direction. Another thing that messes up a lot of people is you're trying to achieve a goal, but you never found out the way to go about that goal. You never took the time to actually be like, well, this is what I want to be and this is what I want to do, and to really figure out what it takes to become that person. And I feel like that's one of the biggest things I've missed in life. I'm so focused on a goal all the time that I never took the time to sit back and think about, but what person do I actually want to be, and who do I actually want to be, contrary to just a goal. And I'm going to talk about that more, but that's very imperative for you to figure out, what kind of person do you want to be. Now first, think about your goal as well. Not really first, but I should say next. Think about your goal as well. I'm not saying completely forget about your goal, but think about your goal. I read this quote. Think about your goal and focus on the kind of person that achieves that goal. Words are very important. Think about your goal and focus on the kind of person that achieves that goal. I say that to say it is great to have goals and different things that you want to achieve in life. And as I've said before in previous videos, the difference between a goal and a dream is a goal is specific. So make sure it's a goal. A goal is, I want to live in Houston, Texas, in a high rise that costs $2,000. A dream is, I want to live in a good apartment. A goal, I want to drive a 2024 Honda Accord XL. A dream, I want to drive a newer car. So first, make sure it's a goal. But like I said, you need to focus on the kind of person that achieves that goal. And the reason why you need to do that is because a lot of times you focus solely on the goal and not what it takes to actually on a day-to-day basis achieve that goal, and what are some of the things that go into achieving that goal as far as the person, right? I say that to say you essentially can achieve anything, right? And I'm not saying that to be cliche or to be, you really can. Like, if you really think about it, anybody, like, a lot of people have done a lot of stuff. People have already become billionaires. People have already become the first this, the first that. You can achieve anything. But the thing is, you need to realize that. That's the first step. Honestly, you need to, if you don't think you can even achieve that dream or achieve that goal, then it's going to be hard to do the next steps. First, understand you can achieve anything. Because once you understand that, you figure out, so what's more important than achieving something? The kind of person that achieves that thing. And I say that to say the kind of person that achieves that thing is more important, because once you hit a goal, all you're going to do is get another goal. And it's something that eventually you're going to check off the box. But the kind of person that achieves that thing is what goes in day to day. That's the long lasting thing. A goal is eventually going to be achieved. A goal is really the congratulations, the end of the line, the end of the race. The kind of person is the person that stretches before they run. The kind of person is the person that, works out 2 hours a day. The kind of person is the person. If you get what I'm saying, the kind of person, if you focus on the kind of person, then it makes it easier to achieve that goal, i.e., win that race. Because if you're just only focusing on winning the race and you're not worried about stretching, you're not worried about going to practice, you're not worried about strength training and all these other things and eating healthy, it's probably going to be very hard for you to reach that goal. And you're going to kind of be like, I keep losing every race. And why not win every race? And I think that's a lot of times we do in life. Why did I get that goal? Why? Because you're just not the kind of person that achieves that kind of thing. And you have to be honest with yourself about it. And a lot of people aren't. You just aren't that kind of person. So it's about figuring out how to become that kind of person. And I say that to say, think about it like this, right? So growing up, when I was younger, it was a big thing of like weight loss shows. Like weight loss shows were like the thing. I don't really know why. I mean, they had like The Biggest Loser. They had all these other things. And the people would go on those shows every season. By the end of the season, people would lose 75 pounds, 80 pounds, 100 pounds, 150 pounds, crazy stuff. And at the end of the show, everybody used to give very similar statements and crying and, you know, this has changed my life. And my doctor literally told me that if I didn't lose weight, I wouldn't be able to live this long. And now I can finally spend time with my kids. And I've never been able to wear a bathing suit. And now I have the confidence to achieve my dreams. And And they had a laundry list of all the things that, you know, they could finally achieve now that they lost the weight, because that was the goal, to lose the weight. And how their life has changed and all this other stuff. I say that to say, within a short span of time, within a year or two, some people 3, but usually within a year or two, 80% of those individuals gained that weight back plus more within 2 years, give or take. But didn't they just tell us that this changed their life? Didn't they just tell us how they were struggling to sleep at night? They were struggling to breathe. They weren't able to spend time with their kids. Their doctor literally told them if they didn't, you know, lose weight, they might become diabetic. They might lose a finger. They might, all this other stuff. That's what they told us. And they achieved the dream. So when I first found that out, and I found that out a couple years back, I was really confused about it. And now it makes sense. But I was really confused about it because I'm like, if they wanted that thing so badly and they finally got it, why wouldn't they keep it? Why wouldn't they? Because they never became that person. They focused on the goal. They didn't focus on the kind of person that achieved that goal. I say that to say, like I said before, you can essentially achieve anything. If I told you that if you lose 20 pounds in a month and I'll give you $1 million, you would figure out how to lose 20 pounds. You would take all the necessary detoxes, you would be juicing, you would be fasting, all these things to do that. And that's essentially what they did for the show. But the thing is, they never became that person. They just focused on the goal. So they didn't actually become healthy. They just lost the weight. But to lose the weight, you have to become a healthier person. That's what we all know. You get what I'm saying? To make more money, you have to figure out how to become a wealthier person. I say that to say you need to focus on the person you want to become. Also similar with people who win the lottery. Most people who win the lottery go back to working 9-to-5 jobs and, you know, basically go back to the income they had before, if not worse, and lose all that money within a short coming of years as well. Now, a lot of us, we say, what, I'm struggling now. I work 4 to 5 jobs or 3 jobs, whatever the case may be. I never see my kids. If I had a job, if I got $1 million right now, I would never work again. I would do this. I would do that. No, you wouldn't, because you're not a wealthy person. And that's probably a reason why you haven't gotten wealth yet. The thing is, we focus so much on these goals and not the habits that it takes to actually become that kind of person that achieves that thing, that even if sometimes miraculously we do achieve those things, and some people don't, we don't keep them. They just become a goal, and then we try to figure out how to get it again, and how to get it again, and how to get it again. And the thing is, because you're not focusing on how to become that person. And I say that to say, in a book I read, this guy was talking to, you know, his friend had lost 100 pounds, and he was asking her, how did she lose 100 pounds? And she was saying, because in everything that I did, I kept asking myself, what would a healthy person do? You have to become that person. And like I said before in the beginning, you have to change your identity. And what is your identity? Your habits. So what did she do? She changed her habits, and she asked herself, what would a healthy person do? In a sense of, that's why I asked you, figure out who do you want to become. So ask yourself, what would a wealthy person do? What would a loving person do? What would a leader do? Because obviously you aren't doing those things, and that is okay. But when it comes to acting out, you know, your habits and different things, ask yourself, what would that kind of person do? And in a sense of, it's really focusing on those things that you're doing when no one is watching. It's really focusing on those little things that are your habits. And your habits are the things that you do automatically. Your habits are waking up and brushing your teeth, using the bathroom. Your habits are very much so things that your brain don't have to think about, because your brain honestly doesn't want to think. Your brain wants to do as little thinking as possible, because it wants to be on autopilot. And to understand that, you also have to understand you're not struggling, you're just redirecting. That's a quote I recently heard. You're not struggling, you're just redirecting. I say that to say, when it comes to making more money, losing weight, gaining knowledge, we often say, I'm struggling to finish this book, I'm struggling to go to the gym. You're not struggling, you're just redirecting. Because like I said, your brain likes being on autopilot. Your brain likes being able to go to work and not think, because it knows how to get there with your eyes closed, right? I say that to say, when that highway that you usually go on is under construction, you have to go somewhere else. Now your brain is alert. Okay, wait, we never took this turn before. Okay, we never took that turn before. Okay, that's the thing that you're feeling when you feel like you're struggling. It's not struggling, it's just redirection. Your brain has never went in this direction before, and it's not used to it. And like I said, your brain wants autopilot, it wants automation, and that's what habits are. So essentially, you have to get yourself used to that. Similar to, if you think about school, right? When I was in school, it used to always happen. In the beginning of the new year, I will always write down the previous year. For example, right now, I would still be writing 2023 on my papers when I write my name and my date. I say that to say, the first week, I would do it almost on everything. The second week, okay, a little bit less. The third week, fourth week, by February or so, I wouldn't do it at all. All right, maybe late February sometime, depending on how it was. Every so often, it was still kicking. I say that to say, I didn't look at that as struggling. I just looked at it as redirecting. My brain just had to get used to the new date. Think about that when it comes to your habits. When you're trying to think, what would a healthy person do? What would a wealthy person do? What would a confident person do? However you want to change your identity, don't look at it as, I'm struggling to do this. Look at it as, I just have to redirect my brain. I just have to make this the new normal. Right? So eventually, by May time, everybody in their paper real fast can write 2024 without even thinking. And that's how you have to make your habits. But what's happened to a lot of individuals is that mentally, you're still writing 2019 on your papers. You're still stuck in the past. Why? Because you keep looking at this redirecting as a struggle. And like I said, our brain wants to be comfortable. It doesn't like struggle. So if you keep telling yourself, I'm struggling, your brain's like, oh no, let's go back. And you've been doing this for so long that that's what your life is now. And that's essentially who you are now. You're still in the same mindset. You're still in the same, if not worse than before. So the simple fact that you keep looking at it as a struggle, and it's just redirection. Another thing that gets people is time. They're like, oh, it's going to take so much time. It's going to be so much time. I want you to understand now, your life now is a delayed reflection of your habits. So yes, you feel like it's going to take forever to implement those things. Yes, it's going to take forever to change those things. Well, think about where your life would have been if you would have started doing those things when you first had the inclination. This is not the first time you thought about changing your life. This is not the first time you thought about becoming more confident, working out, reading more books. But think about how differently your life would have been if you would have started even reading 1 page a day, 2 pages a day when you first had this idea. If you started working out 20 minutes a day when you first thought about this years ago. So stop focusing so much on how long it's going to take, because as we know, time is going to go with or without you. It's just about what are you doing in that time. And with that being said, be gradual with these things. A lot of time, like it goes back to time, we want to do things so fast. We want things to we want to start fast. We want to start hard. You have to be gradual with these things in a sense of doing the little things. It's the little things that you change. It's not you just going to the grocery store and buying all healthy food. Even in a sense of when I mentioned earlier, right? Taking a tally of the times that you say things to yourself that you don't like. It's not about you saying, oh, I said this to myself 30 times yesterday. Today, I'm going to say it only 10. No. If you said that to yourself 30 times yesterday, get yourself down to 28. Stop feeling like you have to be so fast with things, because that's when it goes to you're not really trying to become that person. You're just trying to get that goal. So now you're focusing more on achieving that goal than becoming that person, because you need to build out these habits. And like we said before, it's gonna take time to redirect You're not struggling, it's redirection. But if you're not gradual with those things, you're really not going to become that person. You're just going to achieve that goal, and then either you're going to achieve it, or you're going to constantly struggle or feel like you're struggling with that thing because you put way too much on your plate. It's similar to you going to the gym the first time, never been to the gym before, and getting 200-pound weights trying to squat them. That's what you do in life. You get them 200-pound weights, you try to squat them, you mess up your knees, you buckle your ankles, and then when you do, you cry that the gym is too hard. Now you have a scarcity mindset with the gym. You never want to see a gym again. You never want to see a weight again. You blame the gym. You blame trainers. You blame fitness people. You blame all these people. And it's like, no, it's you. Because you didn't want to become a person that started out, you know what, not even looking at the weights. I'm going to just start out on the treadmill. You didn't want to become that person that was like, you know what, let me start out with 5 pounds. You didn't want to become that person. I was like, you know what, if I go to the gym, I probably should drink enough water, and I probably should eat a little bit healthier so I have energy. You just flat out came from McDonald's, just had a extra caramel frappe, and you expected your body to be able to do that. And it got mad at your body because it wasn't able to do that. So it's very imperative to understand that you have to start gradual. It's the little habits that you do that change. It's the little things that you do to actually change things, right? Even me with building up my confidence. Confidence was something that I struggled with a long time. And even doing little things like just making me love my life, because your confidence is also oftentimes a reflection of, your self-love, your self-care, just all of that. And so one thing I've been doing is romanticizing my life, just making my life more beautiful. So even sometimes the sense of out of a wine glass, drinking my, what's that called? Drinking my matchas. Are matchas supposed to be in a wine glass? Probably not, but is it extra? Yeah, but does it make me feel beautiful? Yes. And some people may say, what does drinking matcha out of a wine glass have to do with anything? What does wearing a workout set have to do with anything? I say that to say it's the little things, right? Because once you start building these little standards for yourself and start doing these little things, you create an aura of that thing. Once you start thinking as a person that has confidence, once you start thinking and putting the actions of the person that wants to be wealthy and all these other things, those little things build up, right? Appreciate where you are now. In a sense of appreciate the little habits and the little things, because I promise you, you're not going to appreciate that 2024 Benz. That 2024 Benz if you do not appreciate that 2002 Honda. And you may think you will, similar to when people lost that weight and they thought they did, similar to when people win the lotto and they think they did. If you do not appreciate where you live now, I don't care what it looks like, you're not going to appreciate it, and you might not even get it to live in a better place. It starts small. There's no reason why you should be having Pinterest boards and vision boards of, this beautiful, how I would decorate my $1 million condo, and how I would, girl, you don't even have any pictures inside of your bedroom. You can go buy a cheap picture frame from Amazon, get a printout from Staples, and put pretty pictures on your wall. Appreciate what you have now. Start with those little things, because it happens to people all the time. It's happened to me before. I get in a new apartment, I'm about to decorate everything. Everything about it looks so nice. I know where I'm living now. I ain't really do much, but my next place, I'm definitely gonna do it. And then you move somewhere else and you don't do it. And it's like, I already been living here for 6 months, so it's not that serious. No, you were never going to do it because you were never that person. You were never that girl, right? I say that to say, start with the little things now. Appreciating the little things now. That 2005 Honda is dirty. That 2024 Audi is going to be dirty too. Don't just say, if I just had better, or start small now. Start the little steps now. Prioritize what time you go to sleep, how much water you drink, how many books, however the identity that you want to become, start with little tiny steps, reading 2 pages a day, doing 5 push-ups is a decent amount. 1 push-up a day. Well, at least for me. Start with that and start gradually. And it's really the power of getting better, at least 1% better every day. And I know some people may say, and the reason why I say gradual, getting 1% better every day, just 1%. A lot of times you're trying to get 50% better, 25% better. You get 1% better every single day. By the end of the year, that's about 37.8% better. Now, if you get 1% less every single year, that's about 0.03 less. And I say that to say, think about it like, all right, I couldn't think of what to use. I ain't really had nothing. Think about this water bottle. So this is where you are now. So if you get better, you're in a 38 point, it starts compounding, 37.8%. This is where you are now. If you get worse every day, it puts you at 0.03 right here. And I know it may be like, well, you could just go up here. It's not that far. And this is all the way up here. I say that to say, but this is what you've been doing for a long time. So this far may not seem like that much of a difference, but you've been getting worse for so many years that at this point, you're here from where you used to be. It's similar to how, people may look at pictures of themselves from like 3, 4, 5 years ago, right? And they used to be like, oh my gosh, I was so skinny back then, or I was so this. And I used to think I was so fat. Look at me now. Now I'm so fat. Good luck, Charlie. I want you to buckle up. Because if you think you big now, you about to be huge to yourself in 3 to 4 years if you don't change those habits. Same thing with people being skinny. Oh my gosh, I used to think I was so skinny back then. Look at me then. Oh my gosh, I used to think I had so much debt back then. I barely had debt. Look at me now. And it's a sense of every single year you're getting worse and worse and worse. It's because you haven't changed your identity. You're not the kind of person that gets better at those things. You haven't become the kind of person that achieves those things because you keep focusing on the goal instead of figuring out how to become the person that achieves that goals. Once you become the kind of person that achieves that kind of goal, that's honestly and truly not even really a goal for you anymore because it's normal. The people who eat healthy, the people who work out, do you think their goal is really to lose weight for real, for real? They might be to tone up and stuff, but they're not trying to lose 15, 20, 30 pounds. And it's not because it doesn't matter to them. It's because the actions they do on a day-to-day basis make sure they don't have to feel like that. They're not even going to get like that. The people who are reading books, the people that are keeping up with the information they need to keep up with, whether it's podcasts, I tell you all the time, whether it's following channels like myself, YouTube videos, we basically have YouTube University. You can find out anything. The people that are figuring out the information they want to figure it out, getting the places and the spaces they need to be in, and they've been consistently doing it. Do you think those individuals, right, are worrying about making more money as much as you? Not really. And like I said, it starts 1%. It starts with, hey, I want to find a book. Let me go on TikTok and figure out a book that would be beneficial to me. Boom, that's one step. That's just you doing 1% better a day. Because you've been struggling with how to fix my finances and how to get out of debt. And you haven't even, there's so much information how to do that. But the thing is, you're so focused on that goal. But if you were the kind of person that did those things on a regular, you wouldn't even have to worry about that thing. That thing wouldn't even be a goal to you. That thing is just normal to you. And also, like I said before, you're not struggling, you're redirecting. Another thing I realized is that your life aligns with what you make it align with. And I feel like a lot of times when we're stopping to do things, we often are like, but what if I can't do this anymore? Or I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. Or I'm not going to. I say that to say recently I've been being healthier, right? And I've been being healthier. And one of the things I was scared of is like eating like things that I can't eat anymore because I'm a big snacks girl. I love snacks. I've always loved snacks, especially like the weird or different seasonal snacks. My mom used to get those growing up and just I love them. And I was kind of scared because I'm like, I kind of know those are not really healthy. And I'll never forget, because it recently just happened. There's these little mochis that I love. And I'm like, a snack girly, like the weird stuff to the point where like I go to like Home Goods and stuff like that to find the snacks that it's like sometimes not even in the grocery store. If you know, you know. I say that to say there was this mochi that I had got from Home Goods and it was so good. And I bought this huge pack and I had it for forever and it was so good. But eventually you ate all of it. I say that to say if you shop anywhere, Home Goods like that, a lot of your snacks and stuff, they may be good, but you might not catch them again. And it was been months I was looking for this mochi. Finally, last month, I found it at the store with my mom. We went to Home Goods and I found it. I'm like, Mom, this is the mochi I was telling you about. It's so good, da da da. And I grabbed it. And I'm just reading the back of it, all this other stuff. And we get into line to pay for all of our things. And I put it back down. And my mom's like, why? Like, you don't want it? And I'm like, no, it's fine. She was like, you sure? Like, if you want it, I'll buy it for you. And I'm like, no, it's fine. I was like, I read the back and that just looked crazy. So the ingredient section was about from here to here, like this. right? Give or take. But with the tiny, tiny, tiny letters, and it was just so much stuff. And I'm like, and I was thinking in my head, and it becomes a subconscious thing. I was thinking in my head, a healthy person would eat this. Because it has, like, I just know this stuff is not good for you, all the stuff. But mind you, if you would have told me this 2-3 months ago, when I was looking for it inside of every Home Goods, I'd be like, I do not care what's on the back, girl, it's good. I say that to say, your life will align with these things. These things will make sense for you. And the things that don't need to be in your life anymore will eventually flush out because they won't make sense. But it's really imperative for you to start these daily habits. Start building up you. Start building up yourself, building up these automations, and become aware of where you are now and the things that you do now, but also in a sense of what are the things that you want to change? What are some of the things that you want to improve? Because I feel like, personally, once I figured out this, it felt like a revelation to me. Like, this is why I haven't been able to achieve a lot of the things that I've been wanting to achieve, is because I'm just simply not that girl. I'm just not the kind of person that does that kind of thing. And so it's about you not only focusing on, I have to do this challenge and that challenge, and those can be good, but it's about you focusing on what time you're going to sleep, what time you're waking up, how much water you drink, what kind of, what does your car look like on the inside, not the outside, but in a sense of caring about you so much that you just start not just attracting these things because they do take work, but like the things that you do automatically help you achieve those things and not have to worry about those things as much. So I hope that video was informative to you. I hope that you learned something from it, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also tell me below anything that if you're comfortable, of course, tell me below anything that you feel like you can start implementing as far as small habits. And then if you guys want to comment below also any identities that you want to change. You don't even have to comment the identity that you have now, the things you repeat to yourself now, but what is the kind of person that you want to be, right? What is the identity that you want to have? And not just what people say about you, not what you say about yourself, but the thing that you show yourself and you prove to yourself you are through your daily habits.